The Marlins get swept. Can you believe that? The Marlins get swept in a series that they have to win to keep their season alive or to keep any chase of a potential wild card playoff spot within reach. In a must-win series, the Marlins come out to Philadelphia and they fold. I don't know how anyone can still think that this season still has a chance of being salvaged. What's up, everybody? Justin Perez for the Sunshine Sports Podcast. I was not going to do a recap tonight because I was busy with something else, but I guess I'll just come on here and do a short recap because, well, quite frankly, I think this was the culmination for what we can now regard as the biggest in-season collapse in Miami Marlins franchise history. This team went from being 12 games over 500 to now being, 4 games out? Let me check. I have it up here. So 4 games out. Yup, 4 games out of a playoff spot. This team went from 12 games over 500, riding a great tidal wave of momentum. Everybody feeling good. The fans feeling good. Players feeling good. Everybody's feeling good, right? 12 games over 500. And next thing you know, this team suffers one of the worst collapses that we've ever seen. Certainly in all of Miami sports. And this by far has to be the worst and biggest in-season collapse in Marlins history. Like, I can't think of anything else that even comes close to what we've seen this year. And it is extremely disappointing considering that entering the year, we were in consideration as a potential playoff team. And we lived up to that billing for most of the season. But unfortunately, we're going to be taking a step back and we're not going to make the playoffs. Because playoff teams or serious contenders for playoff teams or playoff spots, they don't get swept in a series that they have to win. All Marlins fans were at least hoping for a 2-1 series win minimum. Even better if we would have gotten a sweep. Guess what? We were the ones who got swept. Because this offense, it feels like a broken record at this point. This offense once again fails to deliver in crucial situations. In the most crucial moment of the season, this offense fails, and the Marlins have nobody to blame but themselves. Kyle Stowers is dearly missed. Kyle Stowers has missed, and his comeback is only going to be way too late. His original timeline was 3 to 4 weeks. You might as well pack him up for the rest of the season because there is no reason to bring him back, risk another potential injury when this team is just falling apart. They've fallen apart. I don't know how a Kyle Stowers comeback later this season is going to do anything to salvage us because we are falling apart. This offense is just completely inept, completely anemic, not noticeable. The only offense we ended up seeing today was from Javier Sanoja, a solo home run in the 6th inning. But other than that, this team is just brutal, man. Our best bats in this game today were awful. Awful, awful, awful. And you know for a fact that things are not going your way when your best players fail to show up in a game to salvage a series in already a lost cause situation. Jacob Marcy leading off today reverts back to his old form, which we've seen almost the entire season. Goes 0 for 4. Griffin Conine 0 for 4. In the cleanup spot, nonetheless, which is even more embarrassing. So Griffin Conine 0 for 4. Heriberto Hernandez only 1 for 4 today. Owen Casey 0 for 4. Ever since he's come back into the lineup, this guy has not been productive. At least for as much as I can remember. I don't think this guy has been great since coming back from the mishap he had. He's just I haven't noticed him a lot. I haven't really nobody's talking much about Owen Casey as of late because he really hasn't done anything to get noticed. And tonight's just another example of that. Esteury Ruiz also went 0 for 4. Joe Mack 0 for 4. I mean, Xavier Edwards was the only other guy who you could say had a pretty decent night. 2 for 4 today. But yeah, Javier Sanoja was the only production of offense we got today. A perfect 3 for 3 game for him and the solo shot in the 6th inning. We didn't even get a runner in scoring position until the 5th or 6th inning, I believe. The Marlins went 0 for 6 or 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. Again, only 5 runners in scoring position. That is disgusting against a pitcher who, coming into this game, had an ERA well over 5 and had a poorest record of 4-9. I know that Aaron Nola's having a second half resurgence, but again, we made this guy look like Bob Gibson. We made Aaron Nola look like 1968 Bob Gibson today. Aaron Nola did not have to work at all in this game, or at least as much as you think he should work, because the Marlin batters, like Burt, like Casey, a lot of these guys, like Marcy, all these guys, a lot of these guys, they've just stared at pitches in the middle of the plate. Like, there's no aggressiveness. This team doesn't know what this team doesn't know how to have a balance. This team doesn't know how to have a balance because we've complained a lot this season about them being too over aggressive because they swing at everything, they don't work counts, and then when they decide to get patient, they do it way too much. This team does not know the meaning of balance. This offense does not know the meaning of balance, and we're seeing it on a nightly basis, on a daily basis. This Marlins offense is horrible. And I know people are probably going to go back to the whole Liam Hicks thing. I'm sorry, dude. Liam Hicks would not have saved us at all. So for anybody who's still holding on to that, get over it. Get over it and stop being a baby. Because I'm seeing a whole bunch of people all over social media talk about, oh, we shouldn't have traded Liam Hicks. And this never-ending anime saga of bullcrap continues with some of these fans. You guys got to get over this. Liam Hicks would not have saved us because this offense, as an entire unit, as an entire collective, this offense is just as productive as a bunch of traffic cones. You could put traffic cones in the batter's box and they'd give you just as much offensive production as actual human beings in baseball uniforms. Seven hits. Like I said, only 5 runners in scoring position. We left 7 men on base. And really, at the end of the day, that's what boils down. That's what this loss boils down to. Sandy Alcantara, fine start by me. I know he gave up the 8 hits. If someone's really complaining about the 8 hits, then you did not watch this baseball game today, or did not pay attention at the very least when he was out there. Sandy Alcantara had a lot of bad luck today. The Phillies, for some reason, were able to get these random, weird, bullcrap bloopers. You know, just cheap hits. Not even well-hit balls. Just cheap hits, bloopers that somehow fall well past the infield. Guys can't get up to it. Sandy didn't... Tonight's loss was not on Sandy Alcantara. Only had 1 strikeout, but he only gave up 1 walk. Tonight, I'm not blaming Sandy Alcantara at all for this, dude. I'm sorry. Anybody who disagrees, I'm sorry, but you don't know baseball. Because Sandy gave us the best chance to win today. You cannot say that he went out there and he got rocked. He did not get rocked. I know he gave up the homer, but he did not get rocked today. He did all he could, but this offense just refuses to show up. Aaron Nola recorded 8 strikeouts against us today. I guarantee you, if this was to almost any other team that's contending for a playoff spot at the very least, he wouldn't have even gotten close to that. But of course, we have to make him look like a generational pitcher because this offense is just completely inept, not in tune, not in sync. These guys don't know what the hell they're doing. They have coaches that clearly don't know what the hell they're doing. When you pair a young coaching staff with a young roster, you're going to have stuff like this. Colin talked to me about it during the game. He's like, I wonder if Don Mattingly, if he were to get fired, would the Marlins bring him back up? To be honest with you, it sounds like a great, and it sounds like a very tempting scenario. It sounds like a very tempting situation for sure. But I don't think that's happening. But the fact that he did mention that clearly highlights that we don't have the right coaching staff. This is a coaching staff that is too young, and they're trying to lead a ball club that should be in playoff contention. That is in playoff contention, but let's just stop talking about that. The season's over. We were in playoff contention for most of the season, and we let it slip. When you go from 12 games over 500 to this, you got to blame the coaching, dude. You can only blame the players so much for this terrible, terrible collapse. You got to blame the men at the top. You got to blame the leaders. Clay McCullough, and I'm going to have a video out. I don't know when. I said I was going to start recording this to Colin. I'll see what happens tomorrow, barring the unforeseen. Of course, I still got to go back. I still got to take a look at Dolphins training camp stuff. I've been following a little bit, but haven't really been able to be in the gist of it all. But eventually there will be a video out that I do of questioning whether Clay McCullough is the right answer. In my opinion, he's not. To me, he's not a leader. He's not a leader of men. This is a guy that's too nice, that's too nonchalant, too relaxed. Everything is always fine. He's too nice. For a ball club that's this young, he is not the right fit. He is not the right fit. He is either a fit on a rebuilding team or a team that has a stacked roster that doesn't need somebody on their asses. Like, for example, if Clay McCullough was the Dodgers manager, I think he would fit that situation because he is being basically carried by a whole enormous superstar-laden roster left and right, and he doesn't really have to do much. There's coaches in sports that are in positions where the teams are so good that they don't have to do much. We've seen it here in Miami. To me, the biggest example is Larry Coker when he was the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes. You know, the football program, the football team. In the early 2000s, when Butch Davis left to go to the Cleveland Browns, which was a mistake, by the way, and I know Butch Davis regrets it. He should have stayed. That's a topic for another conversation. I'm just trying to bring the parallel. When Butch Davis left, and when Larry Coker stepped in, he stepped into a locker room, a team that was already built, already set, already mature enough to handle most business on their own, and they didn't need a head coach who was babysitting them. I look at a scenario like that, and I look at the Dodgers in this case, and I think that Clay McCullough would excel in a position like that. Or, like I said, a rebuilding team. Say what you want about us, but we are not a rebuilding team. We are building, but we're not rebuilding. We've stacked the farm system up since Peter Bendix has got here. A lot of the players that he's drafted, that he signed in a short time, have been able to come up here in the major leagues and see some significant playing time. There is a reason why several experts, including on MLB Network, were talking about how the Marlins could be a wild card contending team. Because there's enough talent here to be able to do that. But this team's performance, this team's overall performance, and their mistakes, and the consistent lack of offense, it really makes you question whether or not this team would be doing any better if a manager like Don Mattingly or someone else was here. I don't think we're ever going to bring back Don Mattingly because, Don Mattingly was here for long enough. I don't think Bruce Sherman and the franchise is willing to bring back Don Mattingly like that after he was here for all those years and saw nothing. Again, not his fault, by the way. But still, I don't know if the franchise and the brain trust is going to make that move and significantly target him. And I don't think the Phillies are going to fire him either because the Phillies were awful to start the season. I forgot who their original manager was. Don Mattingly gets hired, and look at where they're at now. They kicked our asses, guys. Credit to Philadelphia. Listen, as much as I hate the Phillies, you got to give them credit. They came in, they did what they were supposed to do, and now they're in a way better position than we are. Like I said, the Marlins have nobody to blame but themselves. So even though we're not getting Don Mattingly, I do agree with the mindset, with the train of thought to get rid of this coaching staff and bring in another different coaching staff that's led by an actual veteran manager who can get on the players with no buffer. We need a leader. Clayton McCullough is not a leader of men. He's not a leader of young men. He's a very nice guy, very well spoken. He's very polite. He treats people well. And while a lot of those qualities are needed to be a coach in sports, you also need to have bite. You need to have intensity. And he just doesn't have that. Because if he did, we would be seeing something more different. Again, I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm gonna keep making this analogy. In 2003, what did the Marlins do? What did the Marlins do in 2003? They got off to a slow start. They had Jeff Torborg as their manager. Jeff Torborg was more of a fatherly, huggy, kissy type of manager, whatever you want to call it. He wasn't all that tough. He wasn't soft. He wasn't tough. He was very soft. He wasn't very disciplined. He didn't get on the players when they had to get on. When they had to be criticized, when they had to be guided. Marlins brain trust said, you know what? Screw it. We're going to make a change. They fired Jeff Torborg. They brought in Jack McKeon, a no-nonsense manager, and look at what happened in 2003. I don't even have to say what happened in 2003 because you all should know what happened back in 2003. You made the change. You brought in a veteran manager who knew what the hell he was doing, who had experience, who had prior success, who actually made it to a World Series as a general manager, by the way, with the Padres back in 1984. So that even added more to his resume. Jack McKeon did shit in both as a GM and a manager. So he knew what the hell he was doing. That's the type of guy we need. We need a veteran manager who is tough when he needs to be. Not a kissy, smoochy, huggy, polite type of guy like Clayton McCullough. I'm sorry, but I'm not a fan of this guy, man. I'm not. And I know I'm not the only one. I am not the only one. I've seen plenty of people on social media, including big name Marlins social media accounts, Marlins Network being one of them, and everybody has criticized Clayton McCullough. Last year was it was his first year, just over 500. They were only eliminated at from playoff contention last day of the season, but this is different. This isn't us being eliminated from playoff contention last day of the regular season. We're not going to be in it to the very end. So in my estimation, that's a step back. So yeah, man, Clayton McCullough, like I said, I will have a video on him. This exact same conversation, but in more detail. But I'm not a fan of this guy, man. I'm not a fan of this guy. And I don't think he's the right guy for the job. But the sad part is that I don't expect him to get fired anytime soon. So that's about it. Like, I have nothing more to say. This team, like I said, they completely crapped the bed in the most important series of the season. They get swept in Philadelphia. Citizens Bank Park is hell on earth number 2. We might see this team in the playoffs next year, but this year, maybe we were too optimistic, but at least it was warranted when we were 12 games over. It really, guys, it really looked like we were going to do it this year. It really looked like we were going to, make it to the playoffs, have a really good regular season, not an iffy regular season, a really good one. We were in the hunt for the National League East Division at one point. So, If you want to be a half glass full kind of guy, then you could say that that is a step in the right direction, and I do agree it is. But you cannot overlook how brutal this second half has been. You cannot overlook that. Anyway, that's gonna do it for me, guys. Yeah, I know I came on here like fire and brimstone and all that, but I'm not really mad at this point because it's more of a lost cause. I know I'm being on here and I'm being very energetic, but I'm not really angry, unlike the previous days. This is just more like of a what I expected. I expected for this to happen, and I surely was proven right. This team is going nowhere this season. If you still have hope, then may God bless you. Seriously, may God bless you, because I do not. Anyway, that's gonna do it for today's recap, guys. This has been Justin Perez once again for the Sunshine Sports Podcast. Remember to please like, comment, share, subscribe with all your buddies, all your friends, whoever you know who is interested. Please send this out to them, and subscribe, do all that fancy stuff. And yeah, remember, if you can't be good, be bad, baby. And these Marlins are absolutely bad right now. Take care.